Hello everyone. Today's poem is 迢迢牵牛星 by 佚名 or by no name. This is a Han musical department poem writing about the most famous love story or couples in the Chinese fairy tale 牵牛星 and 织女星 the Star of Altair and Vega. That could be the most famous love stories for the Asian Chinese. And also we have a festival for that, which is August 7th this year. In the lunar calendar, it's always July 7th. So that's why the festival was so called Qixi, the evening of the 7th, July and 7th. And also it was so called Qiqiao, beggar the talent from the heaven. Today, almost every Chinese take this festival as that of a Valentine's Day, Chinese Valentine's Day. But in fact, even 100 years ago, this festival is just for women and girls. So from the name, Qiqiao, begging the talent from the heaven, you know that that's for the women to beg from the heaven for the talent for the housework, the sewing the clothes, the housekeepings, cookings, everything for a typical ancient Chinese woman who supposed to do all the work within the house. The man was responsible to do all the things in the farming field. And that was the most typical situation or lifestyles for the Chinese even 60 years ago. China still, the majority of the population in China is still of the farmers and peasants. So that's a very, very familiar situation for everybody. The man who was always in the farming field, doing the farming work with the most important tools or assistant of the bulls. And the women was always busy in house to raise the kid, to cook the dishes, and most importantly, to doing the sewing work. The sewing work is with such an importance. It does not only make the clothes for the whole family, but it also make the extra money for the family. As far as the woman was capable, was diligent, she would make extra clothes and sell it in the market, and finally she owned some of the extra money for the family. So that's why the sewing skill was so looked on for the women, and that could be the final judgment to judge a woman is good or not. The love story between 牵牛星 and 织女星, the fairy tale, mostly started in the Han dynasty. And we have noticed the two stars was mentioned in the Book of Songs, basically 500 to 800 years before Han dynasty, but there's nothing associated with a love story or in between the two stars. And since Han dynasty, we have this poem, and also we have the festival, Qixi or Qiqiao. The name of the star, Altair, in Chinese is 牵牛星, which means the star pulling a bull, which is a typical figure in the China farming field. The man pulling a bull getting into the field to do his work or back from his work. The name of the star, Vega in Chinese, 织女星, means the star of a girl sewing clothes. So that's also the figure of in a typical Chinese family, of course ancient Chinese family. The woman, the housewife, is always doing the sewing work in house. So I think that's why these two stars was made of a story, the story of this love story. Okay, let's look at the poem now. 迢迢牵牛星，皎皎河汉女. Look at the Altair Star, it's so far from. Look at the Vega Star, it's so white. 牵牛星, the Altair Star. 河汉女 refers to the Vega Star. It didn't use its original term 织女星 because if the 织女星 was used here, it's a little bit dull and duplicated. So he used the term 河汉女 to refer the Vega Star. 河汉 is Milky Way, or in Chinese, Silver River. 迢迢 means very, very far from. 皎皎 means white. The double character is a unique writing technique only in Chinese, which was 叠词, or in English, reduplication, or repeating characters. So that make the sounding pleasant as well as make the meaning more subtle. Could be more stronger or could be more weaker. It's all up to the content and sentences. So the reduplication, these writing techniques was so famous in this poetry because it's the most successful poems to use these writing techniques, and it's famous for this writing techniques as well. We can see it in the following sentences. 纤纤擢素手，札札弄机杼. 纤纤, the reduplication, right? It means the very slim and thin white hand is working. Working on what? 札札弄机杼. So he didn't mention what this beautiful slim white hands is working on, but it tells the result. The sewing machine is sounding like 札札. 札札 is the sound simulation, and it's also reduplication. 终日不成章，泣涕零如雨. So the woman is doing the sewing work there, but all day long she didn't make a piece of the clothes at all. She made nothing. And the reason was never mentioned. This could be a very stupid woman, or there could be some other reasons. But also the result or the situation was reflected in the next sentence. 泣涕零如雨. 泣涕, the teardrops. 零 means the teardrop is dropping. So the teardrops like rain. So it's quite so loud and big cry. 河汉清且浅，相去复几许。河汉, again, so that's the Milky Way, or in Chinese, Silver River, 银河. The Milky Way is shallow and clear. And how much the distance from this end to that end? Because the Vega star and the Altair star was separated by the Milky Way. This poem didn't mention a lot of the background. Anyhow, for a typical Chinese, when the Altair star and the Vega star was mentioned together, and also the Milky Way was in the sentences, we always think that of this love story. So that's a very popular knowledge among every Chinese. So the poem just focused on the situations and also focused on the feelings, and he never cared about the background because everybody know it already. The most popular love story is like this. The Altair star was a man on the earth in a very poor family. So he was busy of the field work all day long. And the Vega star was a beautiful girl, an immortal lady on the heaven. And she noticed this poor man on the earth, and because could be the handsome or could be the diligent this man showed, the Vega star 织女星 fall in love to this man. Love is blind, so actually nobody know why this immortal lady, the fair lady, falls in love with a very ordinary and the most poor man down on the earth. So the lady gave up all his things in the heaven and showed up as a normal girl and married to this man, and they lead a very happy life, just like the typical farmers' families. The man's doing the field work all day long, and the woman is busy all day long in house, and they have kids. And one day, the heavens, the Chinese believe there's a word in the heavens quite similar down in the earth. So in the heaven, there's an emperor for the heaven. He noticed this immortal lady has committed a crime because the immortal, the fair lady, was never allowed to go to another world. So this fair lady violated that law in heaven, and he sent the police to take the immortal lady back to heaven. And so they are in the two sides of the Milky Way, or the river in Chinese, the Silver River in Chinese, because the man was chasing the police and the women all the time, and finally he cannot cross the Milky Way and get to the place belong to the heaven. So that's basically the story. And there's a little bit things can make you feel better. Someone in the heaven heard this story, and he or she have some sympathy on this couple because they have kids, and they showed such a deep love between each other. So he ordered the July 7th is the date for the couple to meet each other. So when that day comes, the birds will fly, gather together, make a bridge by the bird, so the two can meet each other on the bridge of the bird. So that bridge was so-called 鹊桥, and so that also make an idiom, 鹊桥相会, which means two lovers meet each other. Of course, that meetup should be a very difficult one. If it's just like today, I take a taxi to meet my lover, that cannot be so-called as 鹊桥相会. It should be a very difficult meetup. Okay, that's the big background behind this poem. So that's why in this poem it argued that I think the Silver River, the Milky Way, is crystal and quite shallow, and doesn't the distance between the both bound is not so far. And but let's see the last sentence, 盈盈一水间. On the other side of the Silver River, the girl, the wife, was with a very beautiful gesture over there. 盈盈 refers to the beautiful gesture or movement of a girl or woman. So the wife was at the other side of the river, with very beautiful river. 脉脉不得语. She looked to this side to her husband with deep love, but she cannot say a word. 脉脉, the reduplication, also described with true love, with deep feelings. Someone is staring at others. So that means stares at someone with true feelings, with deep feelings. And 含情脉脉 also is a very popular idiom today, means with deep feeling, with deep love, staring to someone, staring at someone. Okay, basically that's the very simple points today. And in the Han Dynasty 2000 years ago, basically the poem still quite in its primitive forms, and normally it depicts a story or a situation. The background meanings is all up to the history background and Chinese culture. So it looks very simple, but through thousands years of interpretation or the changes, the poem still a little bit hard to be interpreted, to be understood by today's people, by today's Chinese, even it's with such a simple and oral wording. The significance of this poem is that the beauty of the freedom of love. In the past, the Chinese marriage is always a marriage arranged between parents. The boys and girls can have their opinion toward their marriage, but the parents may never listen to them. In this poem, the girl, the Vega star, 织女星, she married to this poor guy with his own will and never go to any authorities to get the permission to marry this poor guy. So that's the most wonderful things. She was so brave, and she breaks the law, obeyed by everyone. And finally, it turned out to be a so sweet marriage, a sweet love. Yet even the result was not so good. The two was separated by the authorities. Anyhow, everybody admired the brave of this girl, and we also are so jealous to their sweet love, and we also dream about the type of sweet love like the Vega girl and the Altair Star. Okay, that's one of the significance of this poem. The other significance is the ideal life for Chinese, the dream life for Chinese, which is 男耕女织, the man doing the farming work, the women doing the sewing work, which actually is the typical situation described in this love story. So even the guy was with such a poor condition. As far he was diligent, he has a humble house, he has some field to farm with. The fair lady, the immortal late girl, would like to marry him. So that's something very deeply rooted in the Chinese culture. Of course, in the past, even not so far from today, maybe 60, 70 years ago, when the majority of the Chinese are still the farmers. But today, I should tell, everything changed, and even not much people understand what is the ideal life for the ancient Chinese. 男耕女织. As far as you want to learn some classic Chinese literatures, this is a very important background you should know. And also, this is the background for the hermit things, because that's the ideal life for Chinese, the farming work and the sewing work, and it's well balanced between the husband and the wife, and they are almost quite self-sufficient to produce all the things needed in their life. Very, very limited things they need to buy in the market, like the salt, like the metal tools for the farming work, for the sewing machines. Basically, they have everything by themselves. So that's the country life, ideal country life for Chinese. Very self-sufficient, need a lot of the diligent work, and could be very happy life. I don't know. I have never experienced that. Okay, that's for today, and bye-bye.